Alright, what's up guys? So I wanted to make a PvP guide for the new players because I've seen a lot of people make these leveling up guides since GPO is now free and there's a lot of new players, but I wanted to make something for when you do get to max level, you know, how to PvP. So let's get right into it. Alright, so the first thing I want to talk about is level. Before you start PvPing, you want to make sure you are at least 450 or above. Do not go into PvP unless you're level 450 or above. So make sure before you start doing anything, you level up, watch the leveling up guides so you know where to go to level up. So yeah, first things first, level up. Second thing I want to talk about, your fighting style. If you're going to use Blackleg, you need to know whether you want to use it for M1s or you're just going to use it because you're using Goro or Pika. So you're just using it for the Collier. Second is Rokushiki. Rokushiki is the fighting style most people go with because it has the good dash, and you know, only 3 fruits in the game have the TP dashes, so not a lot of people have Blackleg. More people have Rokushiki as their fighting style. The other fighting styles are Fishman and Electro. Those are the fighting styles people use when they're like already like advanced into the game. They already know what they're doing. Most people would usually just go for Rokushiki or Blackleg, so that's what I recommend if you're just starting off. The next thing I want to talk about is your fruit. You know, you just got max level, you're finally ready to PvP. What fruit do you want to use if you don't have one already? So since you're a beginner, you're probably not going to have a Logia. So some of the fruits I would recommend going for are Bari or Meru. Maybe, just maybe, you could get a Yomi. If you go and beg in the trade hub, I'm sure someone will give it to you. It's not that high value. And if you do have some extra Robux to spare, maybe you could buy some SP resets and trade them for Zushi or Gura. From what I remember, Zushi and Gura are worth like 3 SP resets, maybe 2 if you add a little bit. Alright, now for fruits, aside from the cheap ones that you can just get easily, these are the fruits that it'll take a bit of grinding to get to. So what I recommend, some of the best PvP fruits: Goro, Hiei, Magu, Ito, Kage, Pa, Suna, and Mochi. These are the fruits I would go for, but if you're starting off, you don't have to worry about that. You could just go for the first fruits that I listed. These are the fruits you'd be going for if you're already into the game and advanced. You already know how to do dungeons, all that shit. So yeah, that's about it for fruits. Alright, now for your weapon. Weapons are going to be one of the harder things to get, because for some reason they're just worth more than the cheap fruits that I listed. But if you're a beginner, some of the cheap weapons I'd recommend going for would be G-Hook, Bicento, Pole. Those are the only ones I could really think of. Maybe even G-Blade, that aren't too expensive, that you know could be viable in PvP. Compared to the ones that are expensive, they are not that good. But now for the expensive weapons, if you can get them, I would recommend going for Trident, Shusui, which Shusui isn't worth too much right now, at least I think. I think you could get it for not too much. You could also go for Great Sword. It's not too expensive if you just go for a red one. It's also a really good weapon you could use. You could also go for Crab Cutlass, which isn't too good, but it's viable. You could make it work. Now this goes back to the fighting styles when I was talking about M1ing with Blackleg. If you are a Mink, I recommend if you do want to M1 with Blackleg, you get Pole, land the first M1 with the weapon, and then switch to Blackleg, finish the M1s with that. If you're not Mink, it's fine, you just use any weapon, but if you are Mink, I would recommend going for Pole because of the guaranteed Mink stun every time. But that's about it for weapon. Now for your build, I would recommend in your build the bare minimum 1400 HP. I would aim for at least 1500. I myself always go for 1600 HP as the minimum. And for how much you put into fruit, if you're using a fruit like Goro, Hiei, or Ito, you would put the minimum amount of points, you know, up to the ult, 1500 HP, and then the rest in the sword, some into stamina, 20 into Rokushiki or Blackleg, of course, for the Geppo. If you're using something like Magu or Meru, you would put a lot more into fruit because you're going to be a fruit main. That's going to be your main source of damage. But if you're using the other fruits, your main source of damage would be with your weapon, your M1s. Now for the health, it could depend on what you're using, what items you're using. If you have 400 extra health, you wouldn't need as much points to get 1500 HP as someone with 300 extra health. So it all just depends on how much extra health and how much health regen you have. Now onto extra item. When I say extra items, I mean things like Head of Ball, Soul King's Violin, Jester Box, you know, the free combo extending items that, you know, you don't really need these. These are just for when you're really advanced into PvP. You know, you already have the fruit you want, you have the weapon you want, everything is good. Then you start going for Head of Ball, the Jester box or the Soul King violin. Now for if you do have a head of ball already, you're already set, you have your head of ball, I'm going to teach you guys how to use it because it depends what weapon you're using. You're going to have to use it differently. I'll show you guys right now. Alright, so now for what I meant on how to use head of ball. So if you're using a fast M1 weapon like Trident, what you would do is you would just up tilt into the head of ball. I don't know why I'm lagging, I'm going to try that again. Alright, so like I was saying, you would just up tilt into the head of ball and it lands every time. Now if you're using some slow M1 weapon like Greatsword or Elo Hammer, what you would do is you would have to punch on the last M1, and I'm going to show you guys what I mean by that right now. So what you would do is use your first 3 M1s, you do it with the sword, and then the last one you'd want to switch to your fist because the slow M1 just doesn't let the head of ball land. I'll just show you guys what I mean. Alright, so that's how you would do it. You would have to switch to your fist for the 4th M1, and then you would use the head of ball. And also, this is not just for head of ball. This is something you'd have to use for when you're using moves like Pounding Festival. You would have to switch to your last M1. Although a lot of people don't know that up tilt into Pounding Festival is not true. If you don't switch to your fist for the last M1, they can punch. If they do M1 while they're in the air, they can get out of it. So let me show you guys. So that's how you would do it right there. You would punch with your last. You would do your last M1 with your fist. Also for your build, I forgot to mention, you would need at least, I recommend 600 stamina minimum. Minimum 600. Right now I'm on 623. That's 150. I do get extra stamina because I'm Mink. But yeah, minimum 600 stamina I'd recommend. Alright, so I think that's all I need to talk about. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope it helped you guys out. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next. Yo, I'm fucking cringe. What am I saying? I don't know how to do a fucking outro. I'll see you guys. Fucked.
Smoking in the rain again. I think about what's holding up this flame again. And it ain't like the way it was. Now it's just shades of us. Shades of us.